game. It was a lot of fun. You already mentioned before, Major and Taeja have a little bit of a history. They went up against each other in WCS America Season 3 last year. Surprisingly, Major was able to win the first series. Unfortunately for Major, he lost against Huck in the winners match. Then he had to go up against Taeja again. Back then he lost. Will it be different today? Well, if it is different, I hope for Major that it's the other way around. He can lose the first series as long as he wins the final series. However, you can go ahead and introduce the players, as we are, of course, looking at one of the overwhelming favorites. Not for this group, not to make it to top 8, but to take home this entire tournament.
In the top left-hand corner, he's our red Terran player. We were talking about Major a lot, but instead this guy from Team Liquid is Taeja.
And you also have to add, he's representing the horse.
I think that's actually mandated. He's representing the horse. His opponent in the top right-hand corner, currently teamless, it's Major as our blue Terran. And the map is Frost. We've got be close by air positions toward the top end of the map.
Now these two players, if I think of Taeja's TVT, of course Taeja is capable of playing mech, but I think he's more of a bio player, so I'm expecting some bio play out of him as well. It could be that he's just going to open up with a Banshee, you know, to get some scouting information on, of course, rely on that Banshee to do some damage as well, but above all, not to be too surprised. Major on the other end, he is capable of playing both styles as well, which of course goes for the majority of the Terran players at this level. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Major play mech once or twice today. On Frost, I am not 100% sure if he's going to do it, but with these spawning locations, perhaps he will.
Yeah, I'm interested to see actually what Taeja opts to do here. What we saw him use last time to great success versus Major actually was mech on this map, and it was really his ability, and this is what we saw actually in the Game of the Year you were talking about before, is how good Taeja is with loading his, I know, right, innovation versus Taeja, but loading those Hellbats into medevacs and just capitalizing on when your opponent has their units out of position. I was talking with Ian, one of our production guys here, WCS America, about why I love TVT so much. You have this army that has all different movement speeds in it. You've got the quicker end of the bio, but when you opt to throw those tanks in, they're slower. They can get caught out of position, caught behind, caught out in the open, and something that's perfectly susceptible to some sick drop play from your opponent. So really, we'll see the tech paths open up eventually, but for now, it looks like we've got pretty standard openings actually from both our players.
Ridiculously fast factory over here by Taeja though. Like that factory went down before that first Marine was in production. Major did get an excellent scout off, so he knows exactly what he's playing against. By the looks of it, it's going to be a little similar. Actually kind of hard to say right now. Will most likely drop his own factory soon, but he has quite a bit of minerals saved up, so Major will drop a much quicker command center. And then obviously we'll start pumping out quite a few Marines here and there. He's building a command center on the high ground, which I think is a smart decision because that basically gives him the option to only defend on one location.
Yeah.
And by looking at Taeja's base, it is very possible that this is a very quick Cloak Banshee opening. So, you know, it's always easier to defend one mineral line than two.
No, it totally looks like it is going to be the Banshees. And I'm really happy actually you mentioned that fast factory. This scout that we had here from Major was really, really convenient. He got it on the first time. And Taeja with that later Marine, like you said, he cut the Marine. He didn't cut the orbital. You know, it's not that. But he cut the Marine so he could get that factory down faster. And this allowed him to actually, he's kind of banking on Major not getting that first scout. You know, not getting the scout before the Marine had spawned. And, well, now it's on the map, and it's a little too late. Major got that scout, and he's got the information he needs moving into this mid-game, so.
Of course, we are playing on the North American server, so there is a small chance that Major might have a little bit of a latency advantage, but in the past this hasn't stopped Taeja from being successful in WCS America, as the 2 seasons he played in WCS America, the first season he made it all the way to the semifinals, where he eventually got defeated by our champion, Paul, in a very close nail-biting series, 3-2. And in Season 3, Taeja also made it to the offline part, but surprisingly kind of bumped out in the round of 16, which, you know, normally is nothing to be ashamed of, but back then, Taeja was an absolute man on fire, so a lot of people expected another deep run by Taeja. So, looking back at it, considering the fact that he's playing cross-server doesn't seem to hurt him all that much.
Yeah, Taeja, the king of dream hacks, but also, you know, they call him maybe the sovereign of summer, but we know this guy performs really well in the summer. When does it start for him? You know, that's kind of a question I'm going to be asking here as we're in the round of 32 now.
In 2013, he had another good summer, but then in the winter months, he was just as successful, if not more successful, by winning a home Stir Cup and then also finally winning his big first place after winning DreamHack Winter.
Yeah, he took, I mean, the 2 DreamHacks in a row, and then he took the kickoff as well versus Thorzane. Taeja's off to a really good start this year. Things have been a little bit tougher with that Aces ROG tournament, but all right, Banshee's going to live for now.
Yeah, Taeja has to be careful there. That Widowmine was just perhaps a little bit too late. However, this is a great start so far by Major, with the Viking popping here as well. Of course, the Cloak Banshee is annoying, but there's not really any room for this Banshee to be very effective right now. Where is that other Widowmine from Major? Because I'm pretty sure he has two. Okay, yeah. It's hidden behind the refinery. Oh, Major, you're so cheeky.
Alright, so he's just, yeah, like you said, not really getting much damage in. And back at home, Taeja, it looks like he's got a Raven on the map, actually, which is a little interesting. That's not going to do too much for him right now. And it's going to help in the later stages of the game, but the only benefit that he's getting from having the Raven this early is really that it's going to accrue energy. We'll see if he can capitalize on it. It'd be really sweet, actually, to see him be able to be like, hey, I have this Raven. Why don't I make use of it in 2 or 3 minutes when I can? I'll be watching to see if he can manage to do that.
Raven is always nice, but I also feel there was a little bit of an autopilot build so far by Taeja. He does have this one Widowmine over here, and Major's gonna have to be careful. That Widowmine will get a good shot off there, but great control by Major as well, realizing, okay, this Hellion is dead, let's not take any splash damage. Excellent reaction there.
So 2 Banshees now on the map for Taeja, and back at home, we've actually got Major continuing to make Vikings. He's got a second one on the way, he has his Raven out. And, of course, he's still got those Marines on the ground. Major also the one holding map control right now with 5 Hellions. He did lose that one earlier, so...
And, of course, his command center was up a little bit sooner, so he's up 4 workers right now, has dropped a few additional mules. We see the second factory going down, so Major is indeed heading into a mech direction. But so far, this is going pretty damn well. Those were some nice shots for Taeja, but at the same time, Major is actually going to win this Hellion skirmish at the cost of only a single... No, 2 Hellions, but still. Good control there by Major again. Couple of small skirmishes ending up all in his favor.
Yeah, you know, he's ahead by basically a Hellion at this point, which is going to be really nice for him, even though he did lose that one to the Widowmine for free, essentially. And the factories are going down, so we got mech from both players, in fact, this time on Frost, which is going to be really cool. Really cool dynamic. I'm excited to see how this pans out.
Yeah, Major also already dropping that 3rd command center way sooner than Taeja does, and considering the fact that this will be a mech versus mech, where everything is going Major's way so far.
Yeah.
Our Juanito is is looking on fire. This all looks really solid, really smooth. I don't really see how this can go wrong for him in the near future. And if this game continues playing out the way it currently does, Major should always have a small edge in pretty much whatever they do.
That's the thing about TBT, though, is things can erupt in a second and suddenly switch. You know, it's about as volatile. It's a little less volatile, I'd say, than like Ling Bane, but it exists throughout the entire game. I want to point out that Major actually, if you look at his vision in the main of Taeja, he scouted that there were 2 tech labs back to back. I'm thinking maybe this gave him the clue he wanted, that Taeja was heading towards mech, and this is why we saw this super fast third from Major, because he went, oh, we're both going mech. Whereas right now, Taeja, on the other hand, he doesn't really know what to expect, and if you're against bio as mech, you definitely don't want to expand before your bio opponent, but Major here with the information makes the right call and is just going to pull himself further ahead as we move later into this game.
Cloak Banshee is going to try to take away some of that map control over here by Major. Major is still slightly up in supply, but of course it is kind of close. But this 3rd command center, there is not even a 3rd command center on the map just yet for Taeja. I'm also really happy to see for Major that he's still building Vikings. He's slightly down in the Viking count right now, but this is a good scout with his Hellions, and I'm pretty sure that he will go back to producing Vikings ASAP. Because what he does have to worry about is, of course, there are those Banshees out, and how often haven't we seen, you know, a relatively even fight, but then one player wins the Viking war, and then 2 or 3 Banshees pick away at all those siege tanks. Major has to make sure that that won't happen to him, as this Raven, those PDDs, can potentially soak up so many Viking shots and make it easy for Taeja to win that air battle.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that Taeja's going to need here, because his economy is like really far behind at this point. 62 workers to 47. Major has a huge economic lead.
Yep,
so.
Just now this 3rd command center is going down, but there's already 3 orbital commands up and running over here for Major. Widowmine picks off a Viking as well. Another small advantage for Major. He will lose 1 or 2 Hellions over here. And this is very well done by Taeja. He frees up this Zelnaga Watchtower. At the same time, this army is going to make their way across the map. This is a crucial phase in the game for Major. If he sees this coming, if he positions his army properly, I love it as well. The SCV scout, he's aware, he's like, something is probably up soon. He sees the siege tank as well. This is fantastic play so far by Major. I think he should be able to hold this and put himself in a fantastic position.
It's extremely crisp. The Widowmine does get taken out. A nice pick there from Taeja. He didn't even have to throw a scan for that, so he can use one to scout the army positioning. He sees 1 siege tank. He's got 3, so it looks like he's going to go for it.
PDDs will go down. The Viking numbers were in favor of Major. He's actually going to land the Vikings, which means that Major will win this air battle, but at the same time there are a lot of units on the ground. Oh, all these SCVs are lined up. These Blue Flame Hellions are not getting the super juicy shots just yet.
Roddy, that decision from Taeja was so intelligent, but the Vikings are landing right now. They're going to force the choke here on Taeja, and he will retreat at least for the moment. Maybe, yeah, he's going to siege up this third. Kevin, Taeja saw.
Yeah, I was about to say, GG is called, Taeja wins. It was indeed a cool decision by Taeja, but the most important thing is that Major had those tanks to fall back on. He had 2 more siege tanks on the high ground, so even when all those Vikings landed, it looked like, oh, this is really dicey for Major. All that he has is Vikings.